Hello and welcome to my review of Tumbbad. Before I get too much into the story, there's some cool facts I want to share about this film. The original script was written by Rahi Anil Barve, whose name I probably butchered, when he was 18 years old. He wrote the first script in 1997, and then later he turned that into a 700-page storyboard. Incredible. I didn't get my driver's license until I was 18. Tumbbad was filmed over 6 years, which shows some incredible discipline from the director and writer and the star of this film. A producer backed out, there were some money issues, but they both held true to the vision. And that star I'm referring to is Soham Shah. He played Vinayak Rao, the main character. Tumbbad is an intergenerational story taking place between 1918 and 1947, right after partition. The film is set in the Tumbbad region of India, where this was apparently a story that was told. And so for me, this film fits the very definition of folklore. This is a fable, this is a cautionary tale. And it was made for just over $600,000, which is mind-boggling to me. I don't know how you can get a film to look this good for under $1 million. And the performances were excellent too, by the actors who often were unknown. And the landscapes and the shots are absolutely sweeping, epic, and beautiful. With one exception, which was that it rained all the time. I don't know if it rains this much in that region constantly, or if that's part of the curse of living in this area, in that mansion, but it was oppressive. The rain was constant, always dark, with brief moments of light and color. I think partially because this is a period piece, that it's easily translatable to any culture, even though it's a distinctly Indian production. But I think the story of intergenerational greed translates well. And I'm not going to go through the entire plot of the film here, but what I want to do is talk about some key themes that I noticed and some things I was very impressed by. We are introduced to the god Hastur and his curse. Hastur stole the gold from the goddess, his mother, and tried to steal all the food as well, but was stopped by the other gods. The goddess chose to spare him and so keeps him in her womb, which in this film is not a metaphor, it's a place you're actually going to go. But Hastur is cursed by always having gold, but never having food. So he's in a constant state of hunger. And one storyline that's repeated throughout the film that is something you would tell yourself, but through the course of the film you find out not to be true, which is that Hastur's curse is also your boon. And his curse is that he always has gold. And your boon is you can get his gold if you're very, very careful. But this film shows you that your boon also becomes your curse. As the film goes on, you see our protagonist who shows us that there is no level of satisfaction you can come to with that greed. There's never enough gold. And you can see it becomes less and less about having gold and more about the addiction to getting more gold. You can never have enough. So then you're cursed just like Hastur, except for he hungers for food and you hunger for gold, and neither of you will ever be satisfied. We get our first look at this theme early in the film when our protagonist's mother is giving the Sarkar a hand job, and he has a hard time being satisfied, and it takes a very long time. Because at this point the film cuts back and forth from that gold coin in the Hastur statue to the mother working very hard to satisfy this man, who appears that she may be a descendant from. And so there we see the first owner of the home that we're introduced to cannot be satisfied. And as the film goes on, you can see that that drive for that gold cannot be satisfied, only muted by opium and drugs and destroying your own family. To the point where I guess what you might consider the story's hero, although he's a hero maybe more at the end than he is now, when he's beating his son almost to death because of the gold. Now, we don't know how far this beating would have gone, but what we do know is that it stops when his son proposes a way to get more gold more quickly by getting Hastur's loincloth. He had not shown any real love for his son, and he had not shown any real trust with his son up until this point. But then, when it comes to getting more gold more quickly, he says, yeah, what the heck, let's do this. Because the only thing that matters is more gold. And now the son, I'm not sure if we're supposed to believe that he was trying to impress his father by allowing him to have his dream fulfilled of getting more gold, or was it that he was greedy just like his father? I'm not sure. Maybe both? because the son took extreme chances to get gold. But I tend to see that the son wanted more love from his father, and this was the way to get it. Because at one point, when he sees how much gold they already have, he says, "We have enough gold, we could never spend this in our entire lives." And Dad says, "You think like your mother." About midway through the film, you see his son doing these rope exercises and dry runs, it looks like, to try to get down to get gold from Hastur, and trying to impress his father with his time and how many coins he can get. And he gets nothing for that. He gets discarded for that. In the very end, the father sacrifices himself for the son. And I need to say here, the sequence of the father deciding what he's going to do, and ultimately that he will sacrifice himself, is one of the things I'm finding so great about Indian cinema. And yes, it looked great, and it looked great in spite of the fact they had no budget to film this movie. But that's not just it. They're able to tell you an entire story from when his son says, "No, there's another way," to the resolution of that at the end, where he has the loincloth and he says, "Take it." There's so much that happens without any need for dialogue. No exposition needed, no internal monologue as a crutch, just visual storytelling. And I admit while watching this, thinking that when they first realized, and I realized as a viewer, that they were trapped in the situation they were in and how dire it actually was, I wondered, when he picked up those dolls, who were they for? Was he going to throw them to the Hasturs and try to bolt, strap them to his kid? What was his plan here? It built tension. And because of how they've built his character, do I think it's likely he was going to sacrifice his son? No, I don't. I think it's very unlikely. But the way they show you that story, I believed it was possible. And because of how they've built his character, do I think it's likely he was going to sacrifice his son? No, I don't. I think it's very unlikely. But the way they show you that story, I believed it was possible. There's very few examples of modern Western cinema I can think of where you would even have that thought cross your mind. But because of the way Tumbbad was done, that thought did cross my mind, and I actively did not want to see that happen. It elicited an emotional response from me. That's the goal. And so for me, that choice by the father creates a loop, which is then closed by the actions of his son at the very end. After the father is savaged and is clearly turning, he reaches towards his son and he offers him the loincloth, the source of the gold. And he tells him to take it. And as much as I immediately wanted him to do that, the son shows wisdom by refusing that gift, that boon, that curse. And when he does that, he closes the loop. And in doing so, he redeems his father at the very end. Because after all, who is the son, if not the product of the father? Good and bad, light and dark, and shades of gray. And in this film, all those factors come together to lead to that final decision, to walk away and say no, and choose a normal life. That is shared wisdom. And that is Indian cinema. Overall, this movie was fantastic. I really enjoyed it. I want to thank people in my chat and comments for recommending this to me. And this is something I've picked up on over time, and you guys were right, of course. I am now seeing it. But it's good to not just go with the sweeping epics in Indian cinema, especially when you're brand new to it, because Tumbbad is the kind of a film you can show anyone anywhere in the world, not have to explain to them all the circumstances of that film, and they can enjoy it, and they will get the message. It is universal. That's what folktales are for. Now, is Tumbbad as good as Bahubali? No. No, of course it's not. But it's a different type of experience, and I think it's something that more people should enjoy. And because this is on Amazon Prime for free to watch in North America, this could be a bit of a gateway to Indian cinema for Westerners. RRR obviously is number one, but this could be number two. Call me crazy. But yet I find myself going back and thinking about Tumbbad. So this is a great film. I recommend it to anyone, and I will definitely try to show it to some people in North America. Please like and subscribe. So thank you for your recommendations. Please keep them coming, and thanks for watching. Bye.